wild out here at SoFi Stadium. We're doing shots. We got whiskey. It's going down. That's how Cowboy fans do it. All the Can Maniacs out there. How about them Cowboys? We walked what I'm calling a Dallas Cowboys corridor. As you can tell, we are at a Cowboys home game. Yes, I understand that we are in Los Angeles, Inglewood, technically SoFi Stadium, but this is basically AT&T West. So follow me this way. We're gonna see if we can find a couple of fans. We are infiltrating enemy territory. The Cowboy fans are doing it right. We got the signage, we got the great food, we got the inflatables. Thoughts on today's game? We're gonna beat the shit out of them. Woo! You see this right here? How do you feel about today's game?
We better win, that's all I know.
How do you feel about Dak Prescott after last week's performance?
Dak Prescott has been very consistent with the division. He has took us back-to-back 12-5 seasons. You know what I mean? He has winning records above. You can say what you want about the past 7 years, but on our division, he has been owning it for years.
Are you a Dak rider or are you a Dak hater?
Before he broke his finger, I was a rider. Now, nah. They need to let him go now.
You know Dak Prescott's watching this right now, right? Actually follows the Can Fan podcast.
Let's
Go! Let's go, baby! Cowboys Nation, son! Let's go! Cowboys Nation represents! Cowboys Nation represents! Let's go! Get out of here!
Crack 'em if you got 'em.
Crack 'em if you got 'em, son. All day, every day.
Crack 'em if you got 'em, Seattle.
Here we are at Lumen Field. And is that a Harry Potter reference? Maybe. I don't know. I've casted a lot of Lumen spells.
Lumen videos.
We want to see Deuce represent. We want to see him repeat. I want some repeats. And I don't need 3 beats if they repeat.
I don't need 3 beats.
I don't need
if
3
they
beats.
repeat.
If they repeat. Let's go.
You don't think we're gonna make the postseason?
Maybe wild card.
So this is
Maybe wild card.
This is where I'm like, I'm good for a good ribbing, but like to say we're not gonna make the postseason, now I can't even argue with you. Because you've sucked. Oh God.
You know it too. You know it.
Who's your quarterback?
This is our year. Look at those dudes. Look at those dudes. Look at those dudes. Look at those dudes. Let's go!
Let's go, Cowboys! Let's go, baby! Cowboys Nation showing up!
Most pristine athletes in modern history playing in the NFL. Even the offensive linemen are incredibly athletic. I mean, these guys are over 300 pounds, and you know they can
Not only the size, but the speed of the linemen. Are you kidding
fly
me?
on the field.
You're telling me a guy that's 330 pounds meant to block a guy that's 290 pounds is faster than me, a sporty 240?
High 240. High 240. High 240.
I could beat any one of those guys right now, and I've drank a 6-pack.
What? You're wearing Crocs!
My 40 time is better than any of them.
Erroneous! Erroneous!
Erroneous.
Erroneous on all accounts!
I've never been more sure of anything in my life.
How'd I do?
13-5.
Final quarter, here we go, baby! CD for the CD! And I'm going for 2. Woo! I don't know why my safety was just playing off so far.
Tackle him!
Yeah, well, I might be a boomer, but you sound like a pipsqueak. You don't even know how old I am.
No!
You little shit.
You didn't win the game, I lost it!
Make sure you know where he is, because he understands how to
Call
get
that a
open
throw?
in key situations.
Look at
cold, but at least I don't still piss my pants.
Protect you and your loved ones with Crackem VPN.
Ever heard the game Marry, Kill? Okay, like I'm gonna give you 3 people, and you're gonna decide who will you marry, who will you and who will you kill.
Okay.
Jerry Jones, Dak Prescott, and Tony Romo.
Marry Jerry. He's got all the monies. Probably Tony. Dak Prescott. Gotta kill him.
I'm gonna Romo.
She's gonna with Romo.
I'm gonna marry Dak.
She's gonna marry Dak.
I'm gonna kill Jones.
She's gonna kill Jerry Jones. Who will you marry, kill between Jerry Jones, Dak Prescott, and then Tony Romo? I'm out.
Jerry Jones, you.
So Jerry?
Jerry Jones, you.
Okay.
You.
Who will you marry, Dak Prescott or Tony Romo? Tony Romo.
Tony Romo.
So that means you would kill Dak?
Yes.
Marry Dak. Kill Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones, poor Jerry.
Tony Romo.
Why not? He's probably one of the best commentators, announcers on the game right now.
Tony Romo? That's mine. That's mine.
Jerry Jones, right now. Right now.
You heard it here, guys. You heard it.
We need trash can.
Oh, here we go.
AJ, you have to sleep in this for the night. Yeah. Football we already got. AJ's trying to take a piss right now. Trash can.
Stickers.
Stickers.
Couple stickies.
Couple stickies?
Yes.
So we got a trash can. We're gonna go test it out in the toy aisle.
You're not getting it first. First try. He's not getting it.
And we back.
Whoa! Hey-oh!
Yes, that's Anthony.
Usher.
Yes, that's iced out at best.
Oh!
And hey, it's me, Wade J.
Wait, Jay.
Welcome to the Cowboys Can Fan Podcast. We're not talking Cowboys today. We are getting political. I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking kidding.
That's weird. You did a hard out. You didn't even go down. I've done that the last couple of live streams that we've been doing because your boys have been live streaming all of the NFL playoffs. And sometimes when we get crazy like that, I don't fade it out. I just say, "Fuck you, get out of my face." Boys, what's going on? Answer, you're not in the studio, so you can't control what's happening here. You know what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
Crack him if you got him, baby. Crack him if you got him, baby.
I just kind of let you guys take me for a ride, and it's nice. I just go with it.
Ants, I got 2 questions for you.
Ants with those glasses for that.
That's one of them is.
Okay.
One of them is that a filter? Are those filter glasses? Does your camera have filter glasses on?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe not.
Maybe go fuck yourself. Or are those glasses because you're colorblind, so those allow you to see green?
And they're Tay's sunglasses. So they're
okay.
And then
they're girl sunglasses.
Final question. Yep. Are you doing witchcraft over your shoulder right now? What is going on there?
Hey, if I was going to, your pants would be coming on. No, this is all Wiccan stuff, okay? So maybe,
it looks like a dragon's egg.
Maybe you need to watch what you say to me because we might wake up tomorrow with 8 inches of foreskin.
Yeah, or you have that area set up so that you can help will the Cowboys into a solid offseason. Tay-Tay's
take it here, you guys talking shit.
I would
not talking shit.
They asked me if they were fake glasses, if I'm wearing emoji glasses, and then they asked if I was doing witchcraft.
Hey, we're the bad boys of podcasting.
Bad boys of podcasting. I was gonna say this with those glasses on. Your name has to be Tony Yayo.
I'm Tony B, bro.
No, Tony B. I was gonna call you Tony Yayo, but Tony B also works. It's your hip hop name. You definitely.
I didn't know the 10 minutes of us waiting for our guest was gonna be you guys digging. You want me to dig?
No.
Hey, I will boot your ass off this stream.
No.
And it'll just be us.
In all honesty, let's let Ant take over.
Okay, do the intro.
I'm so off kilter now because of this, but we're back. Main event, guys. We're full in Cowboys off season right now. We are. I know the NFL's going on. I know that the NFL's going on, and there's the postseason. But in Cowboys Nation, there's bigger issues going on. There's the coach issues. We're trying to find our next coach. Mike McCarthy is gone. Is this the first time we've talked since Mike McCarthy's out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is,
Yep.
isn't it?
Yep.
So I mean that's the biggest news headlining Cowboys Nation is Mike McCarthy's out, and they need to find a replacement, and they need to find a replacement fast. But before we get into who they're going to find, I got to ask you guys: did it catch you guys off guard that they let him go?
I think I was one of the ones that I felt like, oh yeah, McCarthy, there's going to be a coaching change, and just obviously it didn't catch me off guard. It's almost like, yes, it's exactly what I thought was going to happen. It happened. But so yeah, no, I felt like something has to change towards the end of this season, and I felt like with all of the cock blocking the thing over there, I was it was like, okay, well maybe I'm wrong, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're gone. So didn't catch me completely off guard, but that fucking left turn from the Joneses about go meet whoever you want, and then cock blocking them, that kind of was like, whoa, what's going on here? Maybe I'm wrong. So it threw me more off than Mike McCarthy actually leaving.
Yeah. I was pretty set on Mike McCarthy coming back when they blocked him, to be quite honest. Like until that point, I was like, oh, maybe he walks. I'm of the point of view that like Jerry Jones probably isn't an easy person to be a coach for if you don't like kind of lock in step. And so, I'm happy for Mike, of course, but I think I was definitely shocked, and I expected him to be the coach for at least on contract, at least another 3 years.
What about you, Ants?
Yeah, we all kind of talked. We were all like, okay, we were all kind of settling into the fact that Mike McCarthy was going to be here for at least 2025. We were talking about maybe a 2-year deal, possibly he would be trying to get a 3-year deal, and we kind of all just settled in, and it kind of made sense to me because I was like, well, if they were going to fire him, they would have fired him after the Green Bay game. I was like, maybe Jerry's giving him the benefit of the doubt this season with injuries. And then you saw that, like, Ad brought up the news about the Bears wanting to interview him, and Jerry Jones declined them being able to. So you're like, oh, they're 100% bringing this guy back. And then no, they couldn't see eye to eye. And Mike McCarthy is out as the Dallas Cowboys head coach. And again, we are coachless. We technically don't have any coaches under contract right now because the head coach has to come in and then make decisions. So not only are we talking lots of the talks based off of the Mike McCarthy decision, but you don't have an OC, you don't have a DC. Like the main thing with Mike McCarthy gone, you lost essentially 2 positions.
Yeah.
Right. So it's big news to start off
now. Do you
the off season for the Cowboys?
Okay, so since we're waiting for our guest, let's talk about some of the things that have now. I don't know if people do this post coach, where I don't want to say like a smear campaign because he's gone, but when you start to hear things of like, oh yeah, this is good for the Cowboys because Mike McCarthy's gone. He was always looking over his shoulder, and he's a big reason why Dan Quinn actually left. And because he was so worried about Dan Quinn becoming the coach, or him and Dak for the first few years didn't have a good relationship. So when you start to hear people now saying this is a good thing why Mike McCarthy's out, it's like, I don't ever remember really hearing those things when he was the coach. And maybe that's because we weren't really listening to it. But I don't know. Have you guys heard anything glaring about Mike McCarthy's departure?
Well, what about the Micah Parsons quote saying Micah's saying it's awful that they're essentially starting from scratch, right? Like you had a team that over Mike McCarthy's tenure had 3 12-5 seasons, had a couple bad seasons, but were consistent, right? So Micah, for the guy that came in Mike's second year, he's right at the forefront of it, and he didn't seem too excited about it.
I have a thought about that. I'll mention it after what you got.
No, I think
you don't know my question?
Yeah.
So like I think this is one of the things that because I was just listening. Was listening to you about Mike McCarthy.
Oh, about people. No, I
things
don't,
that come up about Mike McCarthy that
Yes.
maybe you've heard that you think are true, or
I don't believe most things that come up that have the hidden source or something like that, because
or happened post the firing,
like
post the move on.
And quite frankly, like I don't think the sentiment from any of the players has ever been that but on that about Micah's quote, this is what I was confused with, because I was starting to think about that Micah quote, and I had a thought there too. Was sure he might be bummed, like he just pretty much spent his entire career. Well, he did spend his entire professional career with Mike McCarthy, and that's all he knows. So you're gonna feel that
connection.
But what we do need is the next person to come in to be able to kind of take it to that next level with the players in whatever way that they enjoyed how Mike McCarthy coaches. And I'm not saying you have to come in and be like Mike McCarthy 2.0 plus. They can come in and be a completely different type of coach, but they need to captivate the team in a better way. Because here, it looked at times throughout the season where it's like, oh, Mike's got no respect for the guys. Or sorry, Mike has no respect from his players, or we're losing it, it felt like. And then by the end of the season, even after the record, it did feel like, okay, things are like it was more of like frustration with the front office, and we were looking at that over the last few weeks than it was with how the Cowboys were playing outside of, say, Cooper Rush in certain games, in certain moments, right?
Yeah. So I think, and kind of going, I agree with you. When the sources aren't accurate, like, or they're
we might
anonymous,
be the sources.
Yeah, we might be the sources. It's like how much you want. But when we look at like how some of the players talk and how Mike McCarthy is, like, you do know that he is a little bit more call it lax than what we would want in a coach. So when you hear,
it seems like
it, right? But you and our boy Rolando Rodriguez in the chat says, my Cowboys family 105.3, the fans said Dak and Mike had problems. That's where I heard that. They're the thing. But they are also talking about other players and other people are talking about like Fridays, the Cowboys don't really practice. Like Mike kind of lets everybody have an easy day off. So when you hear, like, there's one, we know that his team hasn't been as disciplined as we would want him to be. And Mike's not going to come in there and necessarily tear a strip off of any players. That's
lack of preparedness.
It's that lack of preparation. His time clock management has been all over the place. But the thing with Micah Parsons, and this is like, I think with any type of change, and even with Dak Prescott, the devil that you know is better than the devil that you don't. And they know Mike McCarthy's system. Now with the idea that they have a whole different head coach coming in, and Micah specifically has already been like, we're winning the Super Bowl next year. We still got a team here. There's going to be a major shakeup. This new coach might not come in and have a very successful year. It might even be worse than this year because of some of the changes that they might be implementing. So there's a lot of
go win a Super Bowl, right?
Or they might go win a Super Bowl, right?
This is the kind of huge U-shaped fucking position we're in, where it's like
not a horseshoe.
Like a horseshoe.
Oh, like a horseshoe.
Over here is complete victory, over here is complete failure, and literally anything in the middle is what we're looking for. You are right, though. The pillars are there with the team still. So just looking at the team as a coach, I think you'd be fairly excited to come play for the Cowboys. Like, you got a lot of really cool pieces to play with on both sides of the football.
Roger that.
Now, whether or not, Jerry's going to be able to get someone within the price range that he's looking for, and maybe that was Mike McCarthy's special price range, instead of maybe he'll pay 3 times more for another guy. We don't know. Jerry's said he's that. You said that link. He's the man on a solo mission.
Oh, he's a
fucking scariest thing in the world. But who knows?
Well,
maybe he's got one. Maybe he has one piece of gold left in that pocket of his.
Oh, totally.
Well, and the crazy thing is the kind of the spectrum of coaching candidates out there, from what you're hearing to what's being, available. You have a high school coach all the way to college coach, all the way to successful offensive and defensive coordinators, to
people who are almost older than Jerry.
Yeah, people that are right. There's literally there's nobody off the table. You're going to hear this, and you're going to hear this talked about nonstop.
Yeah.
On every sports radio show,
probably all the way to the end of the Super Bowl.
Well, until they hire, probably until the Super Bowl, because Jerry fucking knows that by not having a coach in-house, the Cowboys are going to be talked about. A 7-10 team. Name another 7-10 team that's being talked about. But the Ravens and the Chiefs go to play, or the Ravens, the Bills are playing. No other team's going to be talked about. But guaranteed, the Dallas Cowboys and their coaching search will be chatted about. So Jerry's, I don't know, fondling himself in a bathtub of salt somewhere thinking about it.
Well, speaking of fondling, we're about to fondle our guests that we have on here. And speaking of coaches, hey, this is probably a solid episode for us to have him scheduled for, because day after day he's spitting fire takes on the whole coaching position. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Cowboys Beat to the house. Okay, let me get.
What up?
Sup,
We gotta get.
Let me get your mic.
We'll turn you up. We'll
Adam's gonna
turn you up.
crank
We're
you up.
juicing you.
He's got this new fun system.
I don't know how fun it actually is, but oh, hang on.
can.
Yeah, we
It's
can
just-
hear you.
we-
It's just a little.
Go ahead and try again.
Just keep talking there.
Yeah, moving is a pain in the ass. So I don't know if the audience could hear me loud and clear with that one.
We can kind of hear you.
No, you're moving. You said that it's just a little quiet. That's the only thing. Try the audio gain, or is there any setting on your end there that, or is your setups how you normally do it? I guess, eh?
This actually isn't how I normally do it. This is a little makeshift setup. So I'm trying to turn the gain up a little more. Does that sound better?
No,
I think the gain's just cranked too much. It sounds like perhaps.
yeah, and then I'll crank you up. So just go ahead and just start talking there.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it. Really like the platform that you guys have, and some of the most entertaining content creators out there.
Well, I heard we're the most entertaining content creators out there, so I like what I'm hearing so far.
That, and then I felt like I was about to get stung by a bee.
Yeah, sorry
Oh.
guys, we're just trying to
No,
figure
no,
this
it's
out for
fine.
a second here.
This is podcasting.
Hey, this is behind
baby.
baseball.
This is behind baseball.
Hey, we're doing the pain in the ass.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing any of this stuff here. So everything's off on my end there.
Yeah. No, it should just come through. It's just coming through really fuzzy, like
Really hot.
almost like it's
Oh,
super
it's coming
compressed.
through fast, you said?
Yeah, hard to hear.
Why don't maybe try to even go no mic? Is there just a mic on your computer? Not a good mic?
We're gonna get this, guys. Don't
We're
you
gonna
dare
get
worry.
this.
And welcome to Tech
Tech 101.
Tech Troubleshooting.
Does
Yeah.
this work?
Yeah, that's
Can you
better.
hear me?
We could at least hear you.
Noise
Okay,
gate it.
awesome.
We're just gonna.
Yeah, okay, so
compress it,
there you go.
compress it.
You could start talking and I'll keep
Yeah, yeah.
fiddling around with it.
All right. Hey, rewind.
Hey.
Welcome, Cowboys Beat, to the show. How's it going, man? It looks like you're moving.
Yeah, and it's not fun, man. But it's going to ultimately end up being a good thing. But the process of moving is always a gigantic pain in the ass. So, just moved in today, and I had to make it for your guys' show. It's been way too long since we've worked together, and awesome platform, and I'm glad to be on it.
Well, we're happy to have you on here. And again, if anybody needs the daily dose, I love outside of what Cowboy Chris is talking about in the chat, saying take off that Buckeyes crap. He's So a lot of fire intelligence going to come from me tonight. We have a structured show where Alex has prepped a couple of some talking points here. But maybe let's just get in. We just talked about what we thought about Mike McCarthy's departure. Why don't you fill the room in on how you feel about it?
Well, here's the thing. At the end of the day, Mike McCarthy, I think he's a fine coach, but fine isn't good enough to win Super Bowls. And, we may disagree with this, or fans may disagree, or fans of other teams might disagree with this, but the standard in Dallas is Super Bowls. And when you're not achieving what you were brought here to do, ultimately they had to make this decision. Because if you would have told Jerry that, hey, 5 years into Mike McCarthy's coaching career, you'd have one playoff win, and that one playoff win would be against an 8-9 Bucs team, who, granted, it is a playoff win, so you can't diminish it unless it's the Philadelphia Eagles. Then go right ahead. But no, you can't diminish a playoff win. But at the end of the day, he was brought here to get this team to a Super Bowl, or at the very least, do what Jason Garrett didn't do. And I think you can make a legitimate argument. He wasn't even an upgrade from Jason Garrett. You can make that argument. I wouldn't agree with it, but it's an argument that can be made. So ultimately, I think it was the right move just because you needed a new voice. And I just don't think the team ever got over that 48-32 loss that they had this year. That was one of the things you saw. And I just think wiping the slate clean from that playoff performance, I think is best for this organization.
My only issue with the Mike McCarthy thing, and I know I've kind of had my piece about it already on the show, but I got to dive into it. They just did it too late. It should have been done immediately after the Green Bay game. He should have been gone. He had capped out at what he could do. It was his third chance with a 12-5 team in the postseason, and he couldn't even get. It happened multiple times. He couldn't get his team ready in the postseason. Okay, 12-5 is great and dandy, as we saw this year. 7-10 sucks. It's not fun. 12-5 gets you to the dance, but you have to be able to then do something there. So I think it was by having Mike McCarthy here this last year, it just wasted everybody's time.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. Like after that game, that was a fireable offense. There's fireable offenses in every profession, and that was a fireable offense. And when you talk about these losses that they've had in the playoffs, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. We came out, DeMarcus Lawrence, we were tired. Or, we felt a little tense. The room, there was a little bit of tenseness in the room. And it's just, really?
Yeah.
Like, if you feel like your team's tense, I don't care if kickoff's 1 o'clock. Your kickoff's at 1:05 at that point. You got to make sure your team's ready to play coming out of there. And, especially in the home losses against San Francisco, they were a better team than San Francisco. I had an argument on X about this. They were a better football team, and they lost that game at home, and they looked pedestrian. I mean, 14 penalties. To me, penalties are a result of lack of confidence, because if you're false starting as an offensive lineman, why are you doing that? Because you feel like you need to get out of your set quicker and try and get leverage that way. It's just small things like that. Why are you holding a defender? Well, because he just beat the shit out of you. So those type of things that I just looked at some of these performances and I said, there's just a lack of confidence there. They feel the pressure of the moment. And when you get some of these coaches in here, like, let's talk about a name that I think the Cowboys should absolutely be interested in, and that's Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman is not going to let his team go out on that field and feel the pressure of the moment. He's going to make sure these guys are loose. Same with some of these other coaches out here. Mike McCarthy was just not a guy. I mean, dude, he couldn't motivate me to get up off my couch and go, go hang out with some 10 out of 10 chick if I was dead tired. That's what little motivation Mike McCarthy provides to anybody. So yeah,
I swear she's hot. She's hot. She's a 10 out of 10.
Hey, why don't we go over it?
You got to do it like this. Well, I think just like it. There's this girl, and just like anything.
You take this girl over there, and what you want to do is, maybe go get yourself a Whataburger with her first. Take her for a Whataburger, and tell him it's on Big Mike.
Yeah,
and then you got to make sure to add in the.
I mean,
we're not going to hear it.
His awake sleep app.
Oh yeah, yeah. He has a walking CPAP machine.
I think you mentioned one of the biggest things that really could help this team in a lot of ways is more discipline on those penalties. The Cowboys under Mike McCarthy have had, I'm not even looking at stats. I'll just say it really felt like they were always in that bottom tier of penalty discipline teams, or reverse it. They were always on that the list of most penalties in the league, especially in some games when you're like, how the hell did we get to 10 penalties so quickly? We've just given them 3/4 of the field, and it's like, start of the third quarter or something like that. So,
yep.
Special teams, I swear, every single kickoff, flag, holding, or illegal formation or something. And Another thing that I want to add about this whole Mike McCarthy saga is this. When I talked about Jason Garrett and the comparisons that you could potentially make. I never saw a Jason Garrett team go out there and look sorry in a playoff game. Now, like that Vikings game in 2011, that was a bad loss. But I would also say this. The Vikings were really good that year. Like if a team is just clearly more talented than you and it's not close, there's only so much you can do as a coach. But if you are a better football team than somebody like you were against Green Bay last year, it's inexcusable. Like actions need to be put forward to them. It's just, that's so crazy. Like they looked horrible that game. I still haven't gotten over that loss because it's like, man, everything was in front of you. Yeah. Literally everything was in front of you. And
you shot it away.
That's a thing. The opportunity was right there, and it was McCarthy's third time running it back with this squad, with those players. Ran into a bunch of teams that he could have learned from, coming in playing Green Bay at home with everything set out in front of you, and to just have a stinker. To lose by one would have hurt a lot too, because it would have meant that we were in the game.
Yes.
But what we watched in that was what happened? What team are we watching? Who changed out these players' waters? What the hell, man?
Yeah. So, Jess, I want to hit some stats on it just real quick. Yeah. 2021, Dallas Cowboys, the most penalized team in the NFL. 2022, the 9th most penalized team. 2023, the 3rd most penalized team. And 2024, they were the 4th most penalized team. So, it's definitely a common trend for the Cowboys and Mike McCarthy getting a lot of penalties.
Any other statistic that you were reading out there for defense or offense, I'd be fucking stoked on those numbers, dude.
Yeah, not the way that we said it there. Okay, so why don't we? So one of the things that we want to do, and obviously we're going to talk a bit more about a lot of the candidates, but like Anth was saying and prefacing, like buckle up, like we're gonna every day, anytime you open up your social media feed right now, you'll see something breaking, and then you'll see a Cowboy photo, a potential coaching candidate, something, and you're just like, what's going on? And then it puts us all on edge. And this is going to be the thing that's going to happen to all of us here in Cowboys Nation for the next, at least till I think after the Super Bowl, because there are teams that we know they're going to want to talk to that they just can't yet until that season ends. But, I think we're going to hear this right up to the morning of Super Bowl or right to the day after Super Bowl. I don't think this is going to be settled. So we're in for a little bit of a roller coaster ride here. What we did is everyone's going to talk about the coaches that we brought up, but each of us we tasked ourselves, okay, put forth a coach that you might want to talk about, and then we'll have maybe conversations around it. So it's not like one person gets to talk about it, but we're just trying to make it a little bit more focus here. I think we'll bring up a lot of other coaches outside of the 4 that we're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what we'll do here, Cowboys Beat, is I made this awesome, I don't know if it's freshman college styled slideshow here for us to go through, but each of us kind of picked a head coach that we think, for whatever reason, Jerry's going to pick them. And I know you also have put out a video recently, and so we've included a bunch of coaches that are pretty much, I guess, on everyone's list. So we'll go through, just chat about them, and if there's anyone else we want to talk about afterwards, or just during it comes up,
it live.
Absolutely, bring up anyone. But this, I think we got like 5 coaches here that are in that top 5 position.
Yeah, so probably the first coach that I think we've heard a lot of buzz around, specifically when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, primarily because Jerry had an unofficial conversation with them, is Deion Sanders. If you're talking about a head coaching position this year and an availability, I think prime time has to be in there. Furthermore, when Jerry Jones calls someone who he has affinity for on the phone, prime time's going to pick up in their call. I think this isn't new news for everybody. I think when I look at this and I hear what people are talking about with Deion Sanders, I immediately say, Jerry's not going to do the $8 million buyout. Primetime's too big of a star for Jerry Jones. The Cowboys want it to be, or Jerry Jones wants it to be all about Jerry Jones. But then when I think about it more and I look at what Jerry's trying to do for his legacy and for his career, he bought the Cowboys to have a lifelong occupation. And he's almost at the end of that occupation, not by his choice, but because he's going to probably end up passing away soon. So Jerry
He's old as fuck.
So Jerry has like not a lot of time, and what better way to maximize that time than to get prime time on your team? Now, a lot of the thought around this is, again, Deion's too big of a star. So Jerry, that makes him a non-starter. But if you look at what Deion would bring to the Cowboys, he's familiar. He has the same type of, he's probably the biggest thing that could come to the Dallas Cowboys ever as a coach. And I think he fits well into Jerry's circus. I think you can absolutely, and you hear a lot of people talking about them being the power couple of the NFL. You could absolutely have the power couple where primetime is with Jerry Jones. They're both holding their own media scrums. Primetime's not taken away from Jerry, and Jerry's not taken away from primetime because they know that every news is going to be the Dallas Cowboy news. On a player level, I think Deion brings that culture and he brings that discipline that we're talking to. I think one of his big caveats of not coming to the NFL was, I can't discipline these players. They're all about themselves. I want to work with young men and that I can actually grow into this. I think he could come in there and he can actually kick the butt of the Dallas Cowboys locker room and make sure that we aren't the least disciplined team in the NFL, right? And then the last thing I'll say about this before I kind of open it up to you gentlemen is that when you're looking at like what a challenge is, you know, primetime has that. Go ahead, crack him if you want. Primetime has that big challenge in front of them, and this is like you look at as a player, like what could I come in there and do for the Dallas Cowboys? Well, the Dallas Cowboys haven't had a Super Bowl for so long, and I could be the reason that they get the Super Bowl by coming in there. And I think out of anybody on our list, he's probably the one player that could actually have Jerry's ear and get some of the things changed that we haven't seen in Dallas since the Jimmy Johnson era. That was all my little rant. I missed a few things. We can talk it in a little bit there, but
You kind of, you know what?
You
You kind
made
of
a
sold me
great
a little.
point, by the way. I want to talk about a point that you made. When you talk about the Dallas Cowboys head coaching position, it is the most coveted position in sports. No matter what opening is available, this is the most attractive opening. I don't care what people on Pro Football Talk or First Take say about this. They're literally talking about the Cowboys in January when they're not even playing.
Yep.
And they've been talking about them 4 weeks now. Like, it's different in Dallas. Like, it just is. Like, this is the number one sports team in the entire world. Whenever they're on prime time, they get the biggest ratings. They get the biggest ratings every single week whenever they play. It's different in Dallas. And when you talk about being a coach and with the type of egos that they have, so that they can say, hey, I was the one that got over the hump. I was the one that did it. And whoever that coach is going to have his legacy cemented if this team ever wins a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Cemented in history. So that's what they're looking at. And with the fact that, like, yeah, there are some, things with this football team that make it a bit unappealing, specifically Jerry. But you want to know what makes Jacksonville unappealing? The fact that they suck, the fact that they can't get good football players on their team makes it unappealing. You want to know what makes the Raiders unappealing? The fact that they can't get good football players on their team. The Cowboys can get good football players. They have good football players on their team, and they've shown the ability to acquire talent. I know I might be sounding like an optimist here, but I just got, that's just the reality of the situation. Like, they do have talented football teams. There's just things that they don't do that other teams do, where it's like, hey, they draft as well as you, or if not better, and they also attack free agency, and they're also, taking advantage of certain trade opportunities. So that's the thing when it comes to this opening, to kind of turn it back onto the topic. It's the most attractive opening in all of sports because it's the Dallas Cowboys. It just is what it is.
And probably and Deion said he doesn't want to come to the NFL. And because, like you just said, it's the Dallas Cowboys, and he knows that Jerry already has the Dallas Cowboys, this media circus. Prime's not going to you know, Prime's not going to be like, oh, I don't want to be on Hard Knocks. We got to focus as a team. Prime's going to get out there and like handle your business as a player, and we're going to be in front of the cameras. This is what you do. This is how we do it. I demand excellence from you. Let's go get that ring. So I
fire me up, daddy.
but I mean, like, so again, the more I think about it, the more I want it, the more it kind of feels like as much as it doesn't make sense. Specifically, I shared in our group chat just before the show, Jerry Jones said himself that he is going out as a solo mission and he's going to conduct these interviews and find the head coach. So the last time he did this, we saw him pick up Trey Lance, which is probably not great. But, you know, Jerry's also the guy who went above his, you know, Steven's head, and he went and signed Prime that first time over to the Cowboys. But, you know, Alex, Ants, what do you guys think about this take?
Would you want Jerry to drive by himself at 81?
No,
Probably
gosh,
not.
no.
So I don't know if we should allow him to just go out.
Didn't we see what happened when he did that? Didn't he get in a car accident?
Yeah, he got in a car accident. So I don't know how good that is about Jerry going out and searching for the next head coach by himself. It actually kind of scares me a little bit. And the Deion Sanders signing kind of scares me. Could it be fun? Could it bring a lot of headlines? Of course, but any coach that the Cowboys bring in is going to bring a lot of headlines and be a big deal. I just think it's going to end up being about Deion a little bit. And I still don't think his pedigree as a coach is that great. Okay, he brought a bunch of players to Colorado in the transfer portal because these kids, a lot of the guys that transfer over, might never get a shot in the NFL, right? So I'm still a little weary on the Deion Sanders hiring if it were to happen. If it did happen, I think it'd be crazy. I think it'd be a complete circus, I think is the only word that you can use to describe it. But Dallas is always a circus. So, I mean, bring it in and let's see what happens. But I'm not completely sold on it. And I don't, if I had to bet on it, I would say it's like a 1 in 10 chance of happening. Like, I just don't think it's going to happen.
Better odds than me.
The thing that I mean, so to kind of go back to it about it being about Deion, yeah, I think it'll be about Deion. But when you watch him on his show and you see them on every single...
It's called a football game, Adam, not the
I'm talking about his show on Amazon Prime or whatever, Coach Prime. And you watch all of his players have their own YouTube channel, and you hear him talk, and then you hear what he's saying to these players. He's wanting them to also be the best versions of themselves. So when we look at, like, everyone talks so much shit about Dak Prescott. Well, has Dak Prescott had that coach? We all just talked about how Jason Garrett or Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator or Mike McCarthy not being a motivator. And then you put yourself on the team that is the most scrutinized. Is Dak Prescott, have we seen the best of Dak Prescott from a coach's from a coach pulling that out of the player and having him be the best version of himself? Probably not, because Dak Prescott only knows Jason Garrett's system, Kellen Moore's system, right? So you get a guy like Primetime who comes in, and there is a possibility that Dak Prescott could rise to the challenge. Micah Parsons can now rise to the challenge because you have a guy that's staring you in the face and saying, I was on the field. I've won 2 Super Bowls on multiple teams. Shut up and handle your business or you're off this team. I think that's the type of kind of like intensity that I also think he would bring to the table, at least as a head coach. He doesn't need to be the offensive coordinator. He doesn't need to be the defensive coordinator. He can staff himself up with guys who can pull the best out of these players.
Yeah, no, that's the only thing I was going to say is, like, I think Deion, if they pick Deion, this is how I'd rationalize it for me. If Jerry, sorry, Jerry, don't shut us down here. If Jerry picked Deion Sanders as the coach, that's how I'd have to rationalize it. Is he's coming in as a more of a personality changer, a motivator for the team. We would need some high quality offensive and defensive coordinators who are ready, who are almost ready to take that next step to being a head coach, because I think he's too raw. He's too green as a coach. I have no doubt that he has the mind to do that, but I don't know that it's the right fit for Cowboys right now. But if they did it, I'd be like, okay, who are we attaching to him? Because they have to be running the football then on Sundays, basically.
I'll just say one, and Cowboys beat, if you have anything to pop in here, I don't want to say that we have to get off the Deion train because it's our show. We could do whatever we want. I just want to say Mike Ballerina in the chat gave us a $4.99 super chat. Said if we get Kellen Moore or Jason Witten, it's going to completely destroy / doom this team for years to come. The head coach that I want the most is Aaron Glenn. I just want to say that because we have a thing saying whenever a super chat comes in, we have to stop everything and we got to shut it out. We're going to get to some of the names on this list so we don't have to talk about them just yet.
Yeah, we'll just keep it moving.
Anything else you wanted to say on Neon Deion primetime there, Cowboys beat, or are we just thinking that he's completely out of it?
I don't think it happens, but it also wouldn't surprise me. That's just the Cowboys for you, though. But yeah, no, I think I got everything off my chest when it comes to Deion.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, actually, one more thing. Pat Shurmur would be the offensive coordinator if Deion Sanders would be the coach. He's the offensive coordinator at Colorado. He has about 21 years of NFL experience, so he would most likely be the coordinator. And if that's the case, and I'm in that interview room, I'd be like, go pound sand or find me another coordinator.
You know what? Good. I'm glad you tagged it with that because my next question was, well, do you like him? Is he your buddy? All right.
I played against his son.
And I also said I said Mike Ballerina, but it's Ballerina and
Mike Ballerina.
Mikey
Ballerina.
I was trying to get his
quick on his feet.
Sorry, and Boots in the chat. Hey, listen, you know what? Sorry, we got so hot and heavy about fucking Coach Mike leaving.
Well, I think you almost had an orgasm. I almost had one.
I had an orgasm, and you could feel it. And then all of a sudden, Cowboys Beat started talking about Deion. Ant was the only person who's just cucking in the corner saying he doesn't want him.
Guaranteed, you go up to Ad's bedroom right now and he's got a fucking primetime poster.
I don't.
On the wall. Like, get off his dick,
I don't.
bro.
I don't, but I should.
Here's the thing. I just want to. There's nothing really negative to say about him. He hasn't done anything negative.
Lack of experience. That's
lack of experience.
Like everything he's ever done in his life, he's been successful at.
Exactly.
Like, I understand. Probably a great motivator. I'll give it that. But I don't know if a great motivator is what Dak needs. I think Dak needs a solid offensive game plan, and I don't know if you're going to get that from Deion. I don't know if it depends if he brings in coordinators, but we touched on that. It depends who Deion comes in with would be important.
Oh, hang on, we've lost our connect. There we go. Oh, come on, Robert.
Here, let me go out of here for a second while we fix that.
Hit up some chat while we're doing it.
Okay, so Boots says Dak would get traded because Deion is bringing his own luggage. Shador. I mean, so this is the biggest. This is probably one of the biggest things on why Deion might not make sense, because what happens to Dak Prescott? You know, you know that the Cowboys are now possibly going to try and trade up to get Shador from that 12 spot, and what are they going to get up to give him? So that's another thing when you look at what happens with. Shador Sanders and the whole Deion. I will say
just sec. Let me just touch on that. If Deion becoming your coach, the stipulation of him becoming your coach is for him to have his kid come play quarterback, then I'm out. I'm completely fucking out. Come on.
Well, so
it's not high school anymore. It's not college football. It's like you're going to only be a coach of a team to bring your son to coach him. That's like nepotism to a whole new level.
Yeah, I would say yes for this job, by the way. If Deion was offered this job, there's no way, there's no doubt in my mind. What coach, like, I see this in my comment section all the time. People are like, oh, he wants to stay in Colorado.
Yeah.
You think a football coach would choose the University of Colorado over the Dallas Cowboys? Like, no. If he's offered the job, he's going to take it.
He might pay his own fee to get out of there.
Well, and I will say the only thing that the whole idea about Shador, I think the fact that I think Prime, his whole job was, let me get my kids prepared to carve their own path in the NFL. If he could coach as a father, if he could coach his son in the NFL too, like, why wouldn't he want that? But I think he's already past that. I think he already thought, I'm going to be in Boulder, Colorado, and I'm going to be coaching these other transfer portal kids who came over here. I'm not going to be coaching my kid. And he's already put on record, he's like, I don't follow my kids to the NFL. They follow me. So the thing is possibly he goes in the NFL. We see Deion for the next 4 years. Dak contract runs out. Shador's rookie contract runs out, and then they make a massive trade, and he becomes the Cowboys quarterback in 5 years from now.
Well, question: How many other teams are interviewing Deion Sanders for head coaching position?
None of them.
Any? I think this is just a giant way to stay in the media.
Someone said it. Someone said it. They asked questions. Deion no one gave a clear answer, so now he's on the list.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and we don't even fucking know. If
And
that's true.
everybody's going to be talking
So,
about him.
let's just please move the fuck on.
Let's go to someone who
From
has
Deion Sanders.
let's go to someone who actually
sake.
has an official interview
No.
with the Cowboys.
I don't want to talk any more Deion. Okay?
No, no.
We got to move on.
That's
to
what I said.
Rob. Okay.
Let's go to someone who has an official.
I thought we were
interview.
looking at chat. I thought you were looking at
No,
chat.
no.
Yeah, and nothing, no hating on him,
Well,
but I just want to get on some realistic candidates.
You saw Alex get so excited about Deion being the potential, and then Ant starts to say one thing, and now Alex is like, fuck him! I don't want Deion here.
No.
Fuck him! Get him out of here.
It's just that was, I don't know, perhaps 15 minutes ago. And
Totally.
so,
Well,
yeah.
it's get ready for it. We're probably gonna have multiple 15-minute.
I can spend time on. It's just okay. Robert Saleh.
With that said, the
And this
only
is your boy.
guy that has an actual interview set up with the Dallas Cowboys,
Right.
Robert Saleh. He's the only. I mean, we spelt his name wrong, but at least we got the right picture up there. That's a good spot to
Put an
start
E
off.
in there.
But yeah, Robert Saleh, he has a chance to interview with the Dallas Cowboys. Sure, he had a terrible tenure with the New York Jets, but I don't think very many coaches would have had a great tenure with the New York Jets. He was cut off at the legs this year with the Aaron Rodgers thing. He was fired after the Jets went 2-3. We saw what the Jets did after he was out of there, right? But if you want to talk about defense, the Cowboys have not had a defensive-minded coach in a very long time. And I would love to see what a defensive-minded coach could do with this defense. We saw this defense was not the problem last year. The defense was not the issue. And the best part about a defensive-minded coach is he has to bring in an offensive coordinator.
Yes.
Right? We all want to see an offensive coordinator work with Dak Prescott. We want to see the guy that's not game managing the team. We want to have someone out there with Dak Prescott. So when you bring in Robert Saleh, he's just going to be the one managing. Sure, he might have a little bit more hands-on with the defense. You saw what he did with the San Francisco 49ers defense when he was over there. But I just like his personality as a motivator. Is he like a Dan Campbell? A little bit. I think he can get people to play very hard for him. And I think it's similar to how people soured on Dan Quinn when he got fired from the Atlanta Falcons. Granted, he got fired after he went to a Super Bowl. Saleh got fired after a 2-3 start to the season. I think he can be the motivator that the Dallas Cowboys team needs. You need a guy to come in that can motivate this team, but also has some chops in the NFL already.
Yep, fair points. Cowboys beat. What do you got?
I really like this idea of Robert Saleh. Here's the thing: the Jets defense played really good football under Robert Saleh. He was scapegoated in New York. If we're just being 100% honest with ourselves, him and Aaron Rodgers didn't get along with each other, and because of that, Robert Saleh and the Jets were just like, "We're good here." One thing I like about Robert Saleh is that I think he'll get an offensive coordinator from that, like Shanahan tree, one of those type of guys. So that's something that does excite me. And I mean, this guy was a outstanding candidate when he was up to be a head coach. So, I don't think my opinion has changed about Robert Saleh ever since we've seen him in the league for the last few years here. The quarterback play has been fucking awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why Robert Saleh hasn't exceeded the expectations that were put on him.
Yeah, I think when sorry, AJ, I'm going to hop in. I just want to say one comment. I think like when you look at, you said Aaron Rodgers and Saleh didn't have a good relationship. I actually think Dak would have a great relationship with Robert Saleh. I think the players like Micah Parsons would have a great relationship with Robert Saleh. And I also think that we can finally get someone from that Shanahan tree on the Cowboys to come in and fucking compete against some of these teams that cook us when we have so many trouble from their offense. So yeah, I'm a big Saleh fan as well. Not because Anthony and I are just brothers, but I think I'm happy with the actual official interview.
Yeah. He when the thing with Saleh's firing is I don't really look at his record with the Jets, and that obviously is just like a very surface level kind of look at a coach and what they can do for a football team. Nothing stood out there, but the fact that he was around for 3 years and got fired in his fourth season, I believe, it's kind of almost what we wanted to happen with Mike McCarthy a little bit. So I can't really hate on it too much, right? But it's just the big difference there, of course, would just be their records as coaches. But like, I do agree. I like a defensive minded coach coming in because defense, it almost seems like we've gone through a couple of those different coordinators with different minds, and it feels like at the end of the day, the defense is going to be able to wrap their head around it. And I think after maybe a year with Zimmer, whether or not he decides to come back, and if I don't know if Saleh wants a defensive coordinator around if he's coaching, but I think that was a really good year for a lot of the guys that are sticking around because they had to kind of learn this other style of defense. And the more that you can bring, the more knowledge that you can bring on either side of the ball, the next guy who comes up to plate and says, this is the defense I want to put out there, the learning curve is not going to be as much, hopefully, right? Because you're going to have seen it or you're going to understand the concept a little bit better outside of what just kind of more of a vanilla defense, right?
Yeah.
But look, his history as a head coach is not very deep, but he went right from the head coach position to where was it in Green Bay as a
Consultant.
Consultant, yeah, for the offense. So obviously there was guys out there who felt that, hey, he's worthwhile, and if Green Bay's looking at you to help them out, make their offensive better from a defensive perspective, that's high praise.
Yeah, I think the other thing that we have to look at too is like, I mean, how many head coaches also take the DC kind of job? Like what other, I'm not sure what other coaches out there have that. Like usually you hear a head coach will take the OC job as well. I'll take the play calling duties there, but we don't necessarily see a coach take the defensive calling duties. And I wouldn't say that maybe Robert Saleh would be that guy, but absolutely on the offensive side, it would be very interesting in a team that's invested heavily into their offensive players. Like a lot of our money is tied up currently with our offensive stars. You definitely want to make sure that we're getting a solid OC coming in here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sorry, just a note here. I'm not sure if it's widely known, but Saleh interviewed with the 49ers for their defensive coordinator position. So, hey, he's got another interview. That's good.
A lot of these guys will take, hey, I'll go for a head coaching conversation, but I'll also make sure that I get a DC. And sometimes it's like, you know what, maybe I'm not ready to hop back into the fire pit and get put into a losing situation. So I'm just going to hang back. I'm going to do my job really well. And I'm going to put together like a winning defense or a winning offense as a DC or an OC, and then wait for another position to open up that maybe has better cap space or has a solid rebuild style where they have these solid draft picks or a lot of draft picks that they can actually shape and change that team. But any cons, do you guys think? Like, what are some cons about Robert Saleh?
Well, I mean, you just got fired, so you have to have a little bit of weary. Granted, it's for the Jets, and you look at his quarterbacks that were there, but I mean, you always got to be leery of stuff like that. Like he hasn't had success as a head coach, so that is a knock on him.
Kind of fits with the Cowboys bargain bin shopping for players,
right?
For me, it's just like so he's had experience. That's great. What can you make of that? And really, if you're going to boil it down, I don't think that it's like the best positive review in terms of is he a quality coach? But he, like I said, people are looking at him. He was asked back as a consultant to Green Bay, or asked to be a consultant at Green Bay. So he's staying in the NFL. He's staying relevant. That's kind of the counterbalance to that.
Yep, absolutely.
So just quickly, I just did a little Googling. The only coach that I could find off my quick Googling that also calls defensive plays is Mike McDonald from the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, really?
And interesting enough, his defensive coordinator is Aiden Durd, who was the Cowboys defensive line coach for a little bit during Mike McCarthy's tenure.
Oh, okay. So still not as common.
Oh God!
Fuck me.
Who is that? Oh.
Okay, hey, crack him if you got him.
Crack him if you got him.
We're going to be doing a lot of that if Kellen Moore becomes the head coach. I'll tell you that much. We're going to be doing a lot of drinking.
I'll just say
Kellen Limp Dick Moore.
Kellen Moore is probably, I know he's not necessarily, I think the odds are that Deion is the highest odds right now. That's just Vegas. People are betting, you know. But I think Kellen Moore actually has the highest potential chance. And so I'm just trying to prepare us for that.
It scares me because I agree with you, AJ. I completely agree. It just makes so much sense for him to come back to Dallas and be the head coach. It really does. And I hate it.
And we already know his history. We already know what happened. So I'm just going to try to take you through my kind of train of thought while I think about this. Something happened, obviously, where Mike McCarthy said, hey, or something, this is a potential. Hey, I think I can call this offense just as good as or better than Kellen Moore. Me and him have a different point of view on a few things. You got to pick me or him, Jerry. Jerry picked Mike McCarthy. The other thing is that Kellen Moore came in and said, hey, I think I'm better off in LA or testing the free market. Either way, something happened there and Kellen Moore left the Cowboys after a relatively fairly successful career running the offense. Definitely some negatives, but he, again, as soon as he left the Cowboys, he's now played for 2 other football teams, and you can see when he plays with Philadelphia. Mind you, I don't know. I think all 4 of us would not have a bad chance of calling plays for Philadelphia if we had a chance.
Push. Give it to Saquon. Push.
But all that being
Saquon, push, or AJ Brown. Just pick one, and that's your play chart.
I'm just rolling a D6 every time, and I have 6 plays, and that's the one. But I think for Jerry, it's a super safe move. He's worked with Kellen Moore. He probably can control Kellen Moore. Or I always hate talking like Jerry's this Palpatine, but it's fun. But just as an owner, he knows that Kellen Moore will work with him to make what he wants happen in those areas that he wants. But of course, he's going to have to come out and win. He has the history with the Cowboys. He gets to come back and say, hey, I get to take this back on my own. I believe Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore probably ran a very similar, it seemed like they ran a very similar offense. I didn't see much difference, really. It didn't feel like, right? So at the end of the day, he's just the pick that would be kind of a bit of a Band-Aid. Give him a chance. It's Jerry's 2-year deal that he gets for a low amount of money, and probably that, whatever it is, I think like $7 to $8 million range, or even lower, where he's not going to have to pay too much. He gets the 2-for-1 deal, offensive coordinator and head coach, and then he can bring back Zimmer or someone else on defense for another 1 year. Not the scenario we want, but that's what I think Kellen Moore brings, is the Band-Aid type of scenario where we're kind of reaching the end of that. We need a coach to step in and give us a long-term plan with this team before a bunch of the guys who we just signed for multiple year contracts, now they're hitting the re-sign period. But that's the unfortunate thing that I think Kellen Moore is made for the Cowboys.
Jason Garrett era 2.0 that's just all it should be called, as if Kellen Moore comes back.
Like Cowboys Beat said, and this is the final thing I'll say about him, because I'm not arguing for this.
Yeah, we get it. You love fucking Kellen Moore.
It seems the most likely.
Seems the most likely. Yeah. But he's not going to be a motivator, as much as you can tell from looking at someone. And I'm 40 years old, so I've had a lot of experiences watching people creeping on them, watching what their actual habits are, following them home from work, And I've just he doesn't excite. He's not exciting. There's no emotion. Is that good or bad? It's TBD. But I feel like we want a guy. And I'll always go back to Dan Campbell, right? Coach of the Lions. Say that? Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Yeah. He fires me up. And maybe they're just putting out good social media content. I don't know. But
and here's the thing, because after this, I do have to get going here.
No problem.
But,
oh, shoot. I wanted to get to your guys right next. Damn it. Okay, sorry.
No. We can. I'll go one more.
Okay, good.
But here's the thing with Kellen Moore.
Nice save, AJ.
I don't believe that Kellen Moore is going to be the next coach.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that the Cowboys were high on him as an offensive coordinator, And then ultimately, if they really wanted Kellen Moore around, they could have said, no, Mike, we really like Kellen Moore. We think that he's going to be the next guy. But they just said, hey, make your own decision. And Mike made his own decision, and he ended up getting rid of Kellen Moore, and, more power to him. Kellen Moore looks like he's doing good in Philadelphia. He's not. They have, Jalen Hurts does not look good this year.
Yeah.
The passing concepts are very basic. And this is what I do love, that, last 2 years, Jalen Hurts hasn't looked good. And it's Brian Johnson, it's Kellen Moore. But then when we say, hey, Kellen Moore wasn't good, and like Jason Garrett and Scott Linehan, they weren't good, they're like, oh, you're just making excuses. Well, at least he was productive with those guys, but that's besides the point. Here's one thing I will say, and this is where I would give it a chance if it was Kellen Moore. I don't believe that with Dak Prescott and him having heavy influence over this offense attached to Kellen Moore, that the passing concepts are going to be as bland as they are in Philadelphia. And I do think the run scheme would be significantly better in Dallas this time around than it was the last time around, due to the fact that, Kellen Moore has been around Jeff Stoutland, who's a tremendous offensive line coach, run game coordinator. And I think that there is going to be a lot of influence on Kellen from Jeff Stoutland when it comes to the run game. So not my number one choice, but I truly don't think this is going to be the guy.
Yeah, the thing that scares me about it is Mike McCarthy was hired January 7th, 2020, right? When they hired McCarthy, it was right away. Every day that the Cowboys go without hiring a coach, it's like they're clearly waiting for somebody that's still in the postseason race, right? So it just makes me nervous. And because it's the most, the coach that I would hate the most to get hired is Kellen Moore. So that's kind of where my head is right now. I'd take Deion Sanders a million times over Kellen Moore. I really would. So I'm just hoping it's not Kellen Moore.
Yeah, and I'll just quickly tap in on this before we move on to the next one. I think like with Kellen Moore, and we said it feels like it's the closest thing to probability. Jerry Jones, when you saw him on his acting debut for Landman, and he talks about doing stuff with his kids and building careers.
Spoiler.
With his kids. Well, I'm not telling you how it ends, but he's talking about doing stuff with his kids. He does look at some of these players as like his own. So Kellen Moore is one of his guys. So having them go out as a journeyman, find some different stuff, and then come back to the Cowboys with open arms. Kellen Moore protects the investment with Dak Prescott that they're paying for. Dak Prescott's not going to have to completely change his style. He has a familiarity with Kellen Moore. I agree with what you were just saying, Cowboys beat, about some of his concepts might be a little bit different. We don't know if Kellen Moore had the ability to do all the plays that he wants. Maybe Big Mike called audibles. Like, we just don't know, right? So I do think that maybe learning a little bit on the outside, they're going to look at this as the Dallas Cowboys organization and say, look, Kellen Moore, we're going to get him for cheap. He's going to protect our offensive investments. The staff, we're not going to have to fire all of these people that know Kellen Moore, because Deion or whoever else is going to come in and wipe the coaching staff off. These guys know Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore is going to probably want to keep them around. We're going to get somebody else that comes in for culture, like a Jason Witten, to be on staff and get him coached up. I just wanted to throw a hot buzz name out there, but so yeah, it does seem like a lot of signs are going to be pointed towards Kellen Moore, but not the most exciting option. I'd be very choked. It'd be a hard off season.
Congrats on all of us being adults and not calling him vanilla pudding, which all of us should have.
Whoa. Well, it comes back to the team and you get the VP moniker.
Yeah, you're back. You come back to the Cowboys, you're back to being vanilla pudding.
Yeah.
Hopefully not, but hey, maybe just not tapioca either. Okay. This is your selection. I hope I get it right here. At Cowboys Beat. And just, before we jump into this one, that's where you guys can find. It's Chris, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't dox them. It's Cowboys Beat.
No, I just want to get a little familiar.
Oh, yeah, by the way, I must say this. So my Wi-Fi password for my new place has the words Eagles suck in it.
Okay.
I live right outside of Philadelphia, so all my friends are Eagles fans. So when they come over and they ask for the Wi-Fi,
There you
here
go.
it is.
So
Yeah.
it started. It's Eagles. You said Eagles suck, and then it's obviously followed by giant cock. Like that can only be the only answer on that.
That's hilarious. Hey, if they want it, they gotta type it. That's the
Type
that's
it
the
in.
rule.
Type it in.
That's amazing.
But we got young Pete Carroll. I believe this is what I saw, a post you put out. Tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Yeah, so here's the thing. He wouldn't be my number one option. He would actually be like my 6th or 7th option, somewhere around that. My first 2 options are Johnson from Detroit and Aaron Glenn from Detroit. Those are my first 2. And then John Gruden's up there. But Pete Carroll is a guy, I wouldn't be too upset about it. I do think that this is going to be the guy that gets the job just because he checks off a lot of boxes, right? Like he has experience in the league. He's been a head coach. He's won a Super Bowl. And not only that, I do think that there's going to be a level of gratitude that he's going to have for the fact that the Jones gave him the job, that they'll do them a favor and bring Jason Witten onto the coaching staff, and he'll be the understudy to Pete Carroll, because I ultimately think that's where they want to go. Jason Witten's not going to be the head coach of the Cowboys next year. No matter how much anybody tries to sell you on that, he's not going to be the head coach. But I do think that he's going to come on the staff, and I do think that they're going to try and get somebody with experience to groom him into being the next coach. But, I mean, if it happens, all right, but I do think it's going to happen.
You think Pete Carroll's not your number one choice, but you think that he is going to end up being the coach for the Cowboys?
I do think that this is the direction that they go here, yes.
I guess the big pros obviously is his experience. He's going to come with that experience, championship winning, Super Bowl winning coach.
But before I ug you off, I'm sorry, I have to go now. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Hey man, we're super happy to have you on. Thanks so much. Go bug him in chat and ask him more about the Dallas Cowboys coaches, because I'm sure you're not hearing about this every single day. That's at Cowboys Beat. All right, man.
Thanks for coming on, buddy.
All right, guys. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate
I appreciate it. Love the platform. Take it easy,
Yeah,
guys.
dude. Take care.
Okay, so
You're talking about YouTube? Who loves YouTube?
well, YouTube and IG. What do you guys think about Pete Carroll?
Yeah, it's on. That's at Cowboys Beat on YouTube and IG. Yeah,
on all platforms.
I don't.
You guys missed the joke. He said he loves the platform, and I was like, oh, he loves YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
because we're on YouTube. But he was saying our platform.
YouTube.
But anyways, doesn't matter.
Hey, guess what? When you have to explain a joke, it went over our head.
I know. Now this is what it's like to be you, Ad.
I know.
And we'll definitely get him on again. A fun
insightful
dude.
guy. Moving. You know, we all know what moving's like.
Oh.
Right? It's hectic.
No,
For
and
him to take an hour out of his day to hop on with us while he's moving. Love it.
Yep, totally appreciate it. And you know,
specifically with the amount of shit he was taking in chat. I mean, Big Chris is in there trolling him about Michigan Wolverines. Travis O'Shea is like basically every single thing that Chris was Cowboys Beat was saying. Travis O'Shea, now we lost Anth to the darkness. Travis O'Shea was clapping back saying this guy doesn't know anything. Go ahead and crack one if you got there.
Got him.
Hey, guess what? We're just having technical issues all day long here on the Cowboys Can Fan. We'll wait till Anth gets back.
Well, let's just talk Pete.
Yeah, let's talk Pete. What do you
happened
think
here?
Oh shit! Let me go back to that other one. I had it set that way.
Yeah, just there.
Okay.
And for you all audio listeners, you're like technical problems.
Technical problems? I only ever listen to you guys on audio. You guys do a video show?
All we heard was that. Actually, I'm going to cut it out so you won't even know what it is. So that joke.
What do you
doesn't
think
work.
about Pete Carroll?
Like I said, I like his experience. He's a championship winning coach. He has had he's kind of ran the gamut from he's like 70 whatever, almost 80 years old.
73, I think.
Whatever, close enough to 80 as it is from 60.
Yeah,
closer to 80 than it is from 60. So there you go. But yeah, that experience, I could see him filling the role that is necessary. And you know what? I don't hate it. I don't hate the idea of Pete Carroll. It's not a sexy choice. He didn't end his career in Seahawks with the Seahawks like he probably should have. he didn't. He does have one of the most big mistakes in football history with the pass from Russell Wilson that's picked off by that New England player. Forget his name. Should be in the Hall of Fame. Just that play. Put that play in the Hall of Fame. One of the best plays in all of football. Also, the thing about me is with these older guys, I think they're going to have the knowledge and they're going to be able to bring in the coaching. It's not that I don't think Dallas Cowboys are ready for coaching or too advanced for coaching, but I think that they do need someone to come in and change the attitude a little bit. And not saying that Pete Carroll can't do that, but I don't know if he would be able to grasp these players' attention as like a younger guy. Saleh actually is probably in that perfect age range of a coach where he's still young enough to and obviously beefy. I think that goes a long way, like keeping yourself in
shows discipline,
conditioning and keeping yourself healthy
being
and
yoked.
Staying yoked. Like that does you just are gonna respect the guy. You're in athletics, you're gonna respect a guy who's 30 years, 40 years older than you and still doing the damn thing. And Pete Carroll might have fucking a six-pack for all I know. Never seen the dude lift up his shirt.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't.
Maybe.
No, I'll just wrap it up. Like with Pete Carroll, I wouldn't hate it. I just really don't know what to kind of expect from that point on.
Yeah.
And he doesn't.
It just feels like a stopgap. It feels like a stopgap if it was Pete Carroll to me.
It kind of feels like the head coach version of Zimmer, where it's like bringing this guy.
Like it's just such a weird hire to me.
We don't. I mean, we're all on the same bandwagon. We do not. I mean, not being. We just don't want someone who's an older coach, regardless of how much energy Pete Carroll has and how good he is for the team or how good he could be for the coaching staff. We don't want that stopgap person who's going to come in and help develop Jason Witten into a head coaching position. You know what I mean? I mean, there could be a way that Jason Witten does become a coach on staff with other coaches besides a Pete Carroll as a possibility. But I mean,
Jason Witten in there to coach your tight ends.
Coach the tight ends. I mean, when we talk about having culture people, that Jason Witten would be one of those culture guys, right?
Yeah. And look.
So who do you guys want out of the four that we went out?
Well, I think hang on. Hey, bro, we got.
Oh, we have one more.
We got another one, bro.
Oh, okay.
Zagama Beach.
This is the last guy. Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury.
Count me out.
Okay, why?
This dweeb.
Why don't you like Cliff Kingsbury?
He fizzled out. He fizzled out with the Arizona Cardinals. He had a really good team with the Arizona Cardinals, and he just you guys were kind of talking about it. I kind of want a rah-rah coach. We saw what we had with the Cowboys without a rah-rah coach, and now I want somebody that can fire people up. That's pretty much it.
Kingsbury gives me the same demeanor without the personality that we've seen as Mike McDonald from Miami.
Totally.
Younger dude, kind of
little less eccentric, maybe.
Absolutely. Like, I just haven't seen any awesome press conferences from Cliff Kingsbury. Mind you, he hasn't been a coach for whatever the last 2 years, or head coach. Sorry.
Yeah, he's with the Commanders right now.
But
with OCN.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, the Kingsbury tenure in Arizona, they would end seasons poorly. And maybe this is just how the Cardinals go. I don't hate it. It's probably, for me, a left field. And I don't actually know that he would want to leave the Commanders right now after one season. I think he'd like to run it back. That team just basically, whatever, they didn't change their name, but they became a new team when Dan Quinn got there and kind of revitalized that. And so I don't expect him out of all of the 5 guys that we mentioned then. What was your question, Anth?
Yeah, just saying. I like that you're saying that. If you had to rank, let's do a ranking. Like, I want to hear who you guys from the 5 that we talked about, who you want the most to who you want the least, and then we can kind of get a feeling who the majority of us want, by process of elimination.
I'd say for me, Saleh, Carroll, Moore. No, Saleh, Carroll, Kingsbury, Moore, Deion.
Ooh.
Deion last. Interesting.
Yeah, I love him, but it's not going to end well in Dallas if he goes there. That's my perspective.
Fair. Ad.
Who I would want? Yeah, my number one would be Deion, and not the Deion Shador show. I just want Deion because I do think
Shador's not going to play for the Dallas
No, I know,
Cowboys.
but so like the big narrative is Deion and Shador.
I understand, but how are the Cowboys getting Shador?
Let me get. They're not. That's what I said. I want Deion without Shador. That's what I said. So it agrees with you. I don't think we're going to get Shador. So Deion with himself, because I just think that you need someone that can match Jerry in order to turn this thing around. Doesn't matter how good the coach is. Jerry Jones is the problem for the Cowboys. It's off of everybody's tongue whenever we bring up anything to do with the Dallas Cowboys organization. So I think a Deion Sanders can come in there and can help shift the ship, right? So that's my number one. Okay.
5 more.
Four more. My number 2 would be Saleh.
Yeah.
3 would be Kellen Moore. 4 would be Kingsbury, and then 5 would be Pete Carroll.
I think I'm a little bit of a mixture between you guys. I got Saleh at 1 for me right now. I just like the way he is. I like his style. I really do. 2, I think 2 for me would be, I hate to say it, but out of the guys that we looked at, I think I have to go Deion for my my number 2, just because my things. I just want to see a motivator. That's it.
Yeah.
3, I think I'm going to go Kellen Moore. 4, Kingsbury, and 5, fucking old man.
Old man Pete. Hey, well, look, that was quite the variance there for all of us.
Oh yeah, we kind of like, you guys had yours, and then mine was like a little mix of your guys is like top and bottom. But I think Saleh, for the 3 of us, if you just take law of averages, he's the top candidate for us 3 right now to the 5 we talked about.
And to be honest, none of those guys. And so, just for chat's sake, and we should get a chat involved here because we can talk about some other guys too. Yeah. These were the 5 that were, from what I was looking at it and from our discussion, the most on most people's lists commonly, and
realistically,
realistically,
like Ben Johnson isn't coming.
Let's talk about Ben Johnson right now. Yeah, and let's just,
because everyone's probably wondering why we haven't talked about him, and I think the main reason is because we don't. One, I don't think their Cowboys are going to pay him, and 2, I don't think the Cowboys are a spot on his to go. Yeah. Right, I don't even think they'll end up interviewing him.
You know what? Wouldn't be shocked or surprised if they did or didn't interview him, but the chances of him wanting to come to the Dallas Cowboys, he's not going to get paid what he's probably looking for, or what his agent is looking for, I should say. And it's not the place for a offensive coordinator to come to from a team where he's trying to claim a team for his own. He's going to go to a place where there's some young guys. He's definitely going to want to handpick his quarterback. And if he loves Dak, yeah, he'll come to Dallas. Like, if he's like, Dak's my man, he's going to come here. But I think what we've seen from offensive coordinators is, like, I want to go, and Dan Quinn, when he went to Commanders on his second head coach stand, brought a bunch of his dudes with him. He needs to go to a place that's going to allow him to do that. Not just Ben Johnson, but a lot of these offensive coordinators that are hot to trot. I would love to see them be interviewed. And even if they aren't interviewed, I'm just going to wait until we actually hear before I get too excited. Like, if Ben Johnson signs an interview with the Cowboys, just watch.
Yeah,
watch our phone.
The table's going to start to go up a little bit. AJ's going to get a boner.
No, I won't think that. I'm just going to say it's just going to be exploded everywhere. Oh, is Ben Johnson the next coach for the Cowboys? Blah, blah, blah. It might be a move for him to do just for negotiation's sake with another team. Totally. That's as far as I think it goes with him.
Which I think
it's kind of like with every free agent player. They're always linked to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And then they never sign with them.
Yep.
Rolando Rodriguez says, Cowboys camp fan, did you know that Deion and Zim are great friends? You don't have to hire a defensive coordinator, and maybe Zim doesn't retire. That could be a possibility if we get Neon Deion in Dallas.
I do. I like this though. I like fresh slate. If you're not bringing back Kellen Moore, who I don't think has the personality without ever meeting the motherfucker and just looking at him. I don't think he has the personality to like own a team, and he might.
Yeah, to have a room listen to him and take it seriously.
Right, but hang on.
And that's just purely based on looks.
I'd rather it's purely based on looks and smile.
Right. You're gonna bring him up,
but I think clear house. I liked what Zimmer did, but I want a head coach to come in and then help me pick the OC and help me pick the DC that they want, or maybe they're covering one of those positions, whatever. That's what I would like to see. I don't like when the GM says, "Okay, I'm hiring this head coach, I'm hiring this offensive coordinator, and this defensive coordinator." Make it work, guys. It's just gonna be not the room that it could work out perfect, and everyone knows, hey, this is my position. I'm gonna lock and step here, and that's fine. I just don't think it's the best way to go about it at this point. And one other thing that just came to mind too is like, either you start hanging on to these guys, and now you've got this patchwork coaching system where one is just leading to the next, like. There's never this full reset. We do have this opportunity here for a full coach reset and can kind of put that to bed with the results that happen this season, this upcoming season, right? Mm-hmm. So you bring in an entirely new staff. There's no, oh, well, if they would have got a new DC and fired Zimmer, like we won't have that. We'll have, no. We A/B tested previous coaching staff with this team. Now this coaching staff with this team, and at least it will be that clear cut.
Yeah, at least you'll know if Dak's the issue. Like
right.
He'd be the common denominator after X amount of coaches.
I want to say something about Kellen Moore, and then I want to bring up a couple names that chat's talking about.
Yep.
Specifically, Travis O'Shea's bringing a couple guys up. Kellen Moore, as much as we want to rag on him, he was a college quarterback. He was an NFL quarterback. He has been in an NFL system. Like,
pretty sure he was a record-breaking.
Yeah, so we didn't get you there, but you said a record-breaking college quarterback.
Cocksucker.
He's a record-breaking sea-sucker. We lost Ant there. Kellen Moore obviously knows that if anybody talks bad about Kellen Moore, they shut their stuff down, and that's why we just lost Ant there. But like, when we talk about motivator, it's again, and this is what Ant said, based on complete looks. He's been in huddles. He's been on the field with professional football players. He's been in that facility before. I actually don't think he would be as bad as we think. But I do know we're all in agreement. He's not going to scream and get mad at people and have someone take him serious if you need someone to yell at him, right?
I see a lot of Joe Brady talk out here.
Well, sorry, the person I want to bring up before Joe Brady, because Travis O'Shea was talking about Liam Cohen, and you brought up Liam Cohen on the live stream. He's the nerdy-looking dude from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay, I don't remember.
Remember we looked at Liam Cohen and some other dude, and they almost looked the same. One looked like
it was Liam Cohen, and then it was Wade Phillips's kid.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yes. So Travis O'Shea keeps saying he said Liam Cohen, and then he said it a bunch of times, and he said or Joe Brady. I thought Joe Brady would be a good choice when we talked about it on the weekend, but yeah, Liam Cohen. He's a Tampa Bay Buccaneers guy.
He's voted out by looks.
Yeah, the no chin is really rough for me.
It's throwing me off. I don't know if I could. Every time a bad play happens, I don't know if I could handle them going to him on the sideline. Although the sound bites would probably be great. We'd have some very good sound bites.
You also go back to these hires, McVay with the Rams.
Yep.
No one was looking at that guy, youngest coach ever, or maybe people were looking at him. Sorry, but when he was hired, there was all these question marks. That kind of hire excites me, but I don't know that Jerry's going to do that. That's kind of like this high reward, low fucking floor.
Well,
type of thing. Like this guy could come in and he could be the next thing what you're hoping for. Or to come in and just not be able to handle the NFL. That's I think the biggest thing with the head coach is you coming from college is you were dealing with pretty much transitioning teens to adults.
Right.
That's what you were dealing with. And you might have had a couple really mature guys in there, but once you get to this next level, it's going to be a completely different thing. You're dealing with professional football players who, if you don't have them, they don't give a fuck. Like, they're going to play football for the next 10 years. The guys who are of that caliber, or the next 5 years, and I just think it's going to be harder to control men than teenage boys.
Well, that's the thing. I agree with you. I don't want the next coach to come from college. I'll say that. And it's funny because I had Deion up there as one of my
There's
top
that
two out of
connection though with the
out
Cowboys.
of the two that two of my five. But I agree, because the NFL is just another beast, man. And I don't think coming right from college to the NFL translates that well. Like, you could look back and find coaches. Although, interesting stat that I heard last night when we were on the Cowboy Up podcast, and I don't know if someone said it in chat, but I'm guessing by your laugh, is the last two coaches that won Super Bowls for the Dallas Cowboys
came
were
from
directly
college.
from college.
I was
But
just gonna remind you that.
Yeah, it was fucking.
It was literally
25 years ago.
It was Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah,
35 years
Like,
ago.
it was Jimmy Johnson. The Barry Switzer doesn't count because he did it with Jimmy Johnson's team.
He did it with Jimmy Johnson's team. I was just gonna say, say one thing about Travis O'Shea's, and we laugh at fucking double chin Cohen here as a head coach.
No chin. He doesn't have
no
chin.
chin, or Ginger Kellen Moore. Cohen had Baker playing like an MVP this year, and what he did with the run game this year was incredible. So you look at how Bucky Irvin went from a 4th round pick and he balled out. So if the Cowboys are targeting possibly like an Ashton Gianti or a later round running back pick to help complement Rico Dowdle, you could have an offensive-minded coach that comes in and protects your investments in Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb. You don't have to hire an OC because he probably want to have a lot of that play calling, and you know that he can develop straight out of a college running backs into absolute dogs with what he did with Bucky Irving this year. So actually, as he mentioned that, Liam Cohen kind of boosted up my list a little bit.
Has he been interviewing anyone else? Do we know?
Well, it looks like of course
Jags,
the Jags are going to want him.
Jags are interviewing.
Can we get his picture
Bucks.
up?
Yeah, bring his
Can I just
picture.
Can I just get a reminder how much I don't want him on the team?
I'm getting you the nicest picture I can find of him though.
This one looks like.
And the reason I like this one, he's got a poppy on. I don't know if that's an actual poppy. That's not a poppy. It's a red flower.
This one looks like he's asking you out for prom.
He looks like he's mixed with Zuckerberg and Pee Wee Herman. I'm out.
Oh wow.
He's a tech guru.
Hey, are you taking?
I'm out.
Hey, are you taking a pee right now?
He's got pain. There's pain behind those eyes.
Yeah.
He's strangled a man before with his bare hands.
I mean, so hey, the Buccaneers season's over, so technically they should have, if they're going to interview this guy, we will hear about it.
He's interviewing players. Here's the and there was one other player that you had mentioned,
Joe Brady,
or that people Joe Brady. I don't know much about this guy, but I put Liam, Joe Brady,
Ben Johnson.
I put all those guys in the same type of sack where it's like, it's a draft. You're kind of doing a head coach draft with those guys. At least when you are dealing with a Pete Carroll, and I'm not arguing that he would be better than any of these guys.
Pete Carroll fits the Cowboys.
He's a free agent head coach, and there is just that difference where it's like, what you can get with Pete Carroll, or Pete Carroll's. You've seen so much of him coaching in the NFL that you can really kind of rate him, look at him, massage him. But get rid of that.
Imagine Liam Cohen and Jerry Jones sitting side by side.
But if you have all the other guys, they all have that same potential to do what Pete Carroll did. It's just Pete Carroll's had the you feel better with that choice because you know what you're going to get. These other guys, you don't, and that could be good or bad. I don't hate it.
You're right, though. Like, regardless of how much we like some of these guys, some of them just don't check the Cowboys Jerry Jones box. One, there's no familiarity with them to the Cowboys organization necessarily, and B, they don't have experience necessarily as a head coach. So I think if you have familiarity with, like, let's say a Deion Sanders, possibly a better candidate for a head coaching job. If you're old as balls and you have experience as a coach, like Pete Carroll, you have a better opportunity. If you're a friend of Jerry Jones, like John Gruden, and you have experience, better candidate because you're in coaching purgatory.
Knee, like Kellen Moore.
Yeah. Well, but Kellen Moore has that familiarity, so he's not a head coach.
No, I think more than familiarity, it's the fact that he'll bow down and it's Jerry wants a guy that's just going to be a Jerry guy.
Yeah.
If familiarity is the word we're using for that, then that's the word. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're right there. Like, and so I think it's going to be a guy in that wheelhouse. And I think that's why a Saleh hiring would be nice because he doesn't have any of those.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that he would maybe stand his ground a bit. So we'll see. It's again, get ready to talk about this a lot, fellas, because we're going to be talking about
every
it
show
until it happens.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you know what? Then after the Cowboys do hire their next head coach, then we get to move on to offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator.
Yes, sir.
Baby.
Yeah.
And
then right after that, draft talk, baby.
Yeah.
Well,
I can't even draft with all this coaching indecision right now.
So I do just want to ask some clarity here, and I could look it up, but I'm not going to. I'm going to ask us in this room and outside of the room, and as well as chat. If you were hiring for an offensive coordinator, could you hire Liam Cohen? Could he make that lateral move?
No.
If he's not in, so he is in contract. No, but if he's not in contract.
No, in the NFL, you can't laterally.
Yes, you can. You can't. You can go from offensive to offensive coordinator. We've seen it, but how do you make that transition? Like, he's on contract with whatever his team, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If he's still in contract, if he wants to leave the team, then he needs to move up. But if the contract's ending,
I see what you're saying.
Then he
Is
can
his
go and
contract
hire
done?
for an offensive. He could hire for a quarterback coach if he wanted to, right?
Right.
Is his contract done?
I don't know that. No, I was
Right.
not speaking of him. I was just using that as an example.
Oh yeah, if
okay.
your contract's done, but I think the team in that situation, especially if it's like any of these hot commodities, like offense,
yeah.
they would have already been taken up type thing.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is I don't know, and I'm not going to go through and look right now. But that's the next thing to kind of look at is who is the free agents for the OC DC position. And actually, something I don't know if anyone's looking at, and I certainly haven't, is like, so if you took on Pete Carroll, does he have his OC and DC guy available, making it real easy to transition in the full package? Or
well, he's been coaching since 1954. He has many OCs and DCs probably available to him.
Right. So, but that's kind of like I would take that
1954,
into account too if I was Jerry Jones, just being like, look, if I'm going to hire the head coach and none of his guys are available, am I really getting his best product? And if that's weighed against another dude who I think is maybe just a little bit less, he's my second choice, but I can get his full squad, I think that's a little bit more enticing. And
especially, in a situation like if you bring on a Kellen Moore, it's like, who the fuck is he going to get as his offensive coordinator, right? Where then I think they go to interviews. They would start interviewing for it. But I agree. I kind of like a head coach that has a little bit of a package, or at least has a couple guys that he can bring in. Or he'll have guys. The good thing about that is, like, if you bring in a coach or an offensive coordinator that ends up becoming the head coach, or a defensive coordinator that becomes the head coach, they can bring in some of the offensive line guys that they had, defensive line guys, cornerbacks, linebackers, running backs, right? And then make one of those guys the offensive coordinator, right?
Yeah.
So that's also, you might see them, like the younger guys, like in a Kellen Moore, he might end up sniping an Eagles offensive line coach, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Saying, hey, you're the offensive line coach in Philadelphia, but I'll give you the offensive coordinator position in Dallas, right?
And
so
then
you can kind of
move up. Yeah.
That kind of sniping or head hunting does happen, and that's what you kind of see a lot of the time.
I do think if we see a guy like Kellen Moore, you're gonna see someone that has skill. Like there's gonna be someone that can really control the defensive side of the room, because I don't think Kellen Moore has that experience being a head coach, because he's never been a head coach, but even just going over and working through defensive assignments and trying to game plan for that. So you're going to need a strong I don't see necessarily maybe Zimmer staying around, but could you see them actually going back to Rex Ryan and paying Rex Ryan whatever he was asking for to come in as a DC because he has that experience to help that entire side of the ball because he was a head coach
I
to
didn't
help.
even think about the Rex Ryan.
Or what about someone like we talk about familiarity? What about Matt Elberfuse, however you fucking say his name, the head coach that was let go from the Bears? He's now going to be open.
Bears.
He was a Dallas Cowboy staff beforehand, and he's a DC, so he could come in and be your defensive coordinator.
When you'll see, you do see that quite a bit, and like you do see a lot of coaches that have been fired. Sure, they didn't work out as head coaches, but they'll fall back into being very successful offensive and defensive coordinators.
Dan Quinn, and now look at Dan Quinn's went back.
Totally. How old do you guys think Kellen Moore is?
Oh, shoot. He's younger than me.
36.
37, 38.
Ad nailed it, 36.
Okay. I fucking know.
So we're sitting here on the internet beaking him, and he's getting interviews possibly to be a head coach, but he's ugly.
I'm pretty much a bully. I feel like I'm a bully.
Well, guys, we're gonna be talking about this probably for the next couple of weeks. Do we have any other more bold any finishing statements that you want?
Yeah, we do have finishing statements. Sorry, I was just gonna tell us where they can see us next. We're gonna be all fucking weekend. We'll be live streaming every fucking game. If you want to go back to see what you got going on from the live streams of Wildcard Weekend, we did every game except for the Monday Nighter because we don't give a shit about the Monday Nighter. But we will be doing both games on Saturday. We will be doing both games on Sunday. And you better believe we'll be doing the Natty for college on Monday night. So we got a jam-packed weekend of football.
I can't skip that one. I can't.
You can't skip that one.
I skipped Monday. I cannot skip Monday.
No skippies. No skippies this weekend. We got 5 games, baby.
5 games. Hey, that's light work.
Hey,
that's fucking light work, sweetie.
And I do want to say, not this weekend, the weekend after is Chinese New Year, but to prepare for it, I might be coming with some little sneaky presents and some snicks and snacks for us this weekend.
It's year of the snake,
and
I'm
all
for it.
Exactly, it's the year of the snake, and I need Riker in here because I want him to taste test some stuff.
Oh shit! Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
Well, hey, if you know
anybody
that has an Eagles logo on their hat or chest, you look them straight in the eyes, and you grab yourself by the balls, and you tell them, "Go fuck yourselves!"
That's how we do.
This is Drake.